So you know, I've had this ongoing problem with this squirrel that's been harassing me at my house. So I don't know if I mentioned on the podcast, but this is stupid. Some birds moved into my mailbox. So I've got like a nest
luggage with them and
of
stuff?
birds in my mailbox. There's like 3 of them, and they've got some eggs. I don't know why it's 3. It's like, I guess they're down with it, whatever. So I was, over the weekend, I was trying to take a picture of them. Because they're really angry. Like now when I try to pull my mail out of my mailbox.
What kind of mailbox? Do you have one of those house ones that's flat and like up against? Okay.
Exactly. And whenever I go to like pull my mail out of my mailbox, they come out and they like spread their wings and look at me.
What's
they're
up,
like, yeah, they're like fronting. They're like trying to stare me down. Yeah. So the other day I was like, okay, I'm gonna take a picture of them. I want to show everyone what they look like. So I was like, I'm sticking my phone in there and I can see them. There's like 3 of them. They're in the corner and I'm like trying to take a picture. And then I started hearing this weird noise behind me, like behind me and above me. And there's like a giant pecan tree right by my mailbox. I'm like, what the fuck is that? So I turn around and I look up, and the squirrel is up there, and it's barking at me. I didn't know squirrels made noise.
I hear you. So that's a squirrel in the middle.
We can't really hear it here, but it's barking.
So like, what's it? I mean, it's like woof, like.
I was like, what the fuck? And he just barked at me the whole time as I was standing there looking at the birds.
I think maybe like the birds paid the squirrel to like keep,
But the funny thing is, before the birds moved in, the squirrel used to live in there. Like the squirrel used to be in there all the time.
Maybe he's the landlord. Like he's like back to fuck off.
I always like scoop out all the sticks and shit he would put in there. Maybe he's just jealous. Anyway, so I left. I was going out. I ran an errand, whatever. I came back to my house, pulled in the driveway. And I'm like, there's that fucking squirrel. It's like on my front step, like right in front of the doormat of my house.
This thing's taking the piss.
And I'm like, well, look, what's it doing? It's taking a piss.
Oh, it was literally taking a piss.
Like right there on my front step, it was like squatted down. There's like piss going everywhere. I'm like, what? And he like took off running. I'm like, what the fuck is this supposed to mean? So like now that concrete landing in front of
Estes Peaches, open the gates!
So that concrete landing in front of my front door like has this giant stain of squirrel piss now on the front.
That must be mean. Because they're vermin, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like nasty vermin.
That's funny.
Fucking squirrel.
I'm sure he wanted you to see it. He was like, I'm sure he like glared at you. It was like later.
He didn't even like run up the tree. He like ran around the side of it and was like peeking at me from the side. Like,
you know, this company owns a crossbow now. You can borrow it. So do you have to remind yourself of grudges that you have? Like, would you ever meet someone that you didn't like, forget why you don't like him, and be like, hey, and then you'd be like, let me check my notes on this guy.
No.
And then all of a sudden it's like, son of a bitch, get out of my sight.
I'll generally remember if I think of someone favorably or unfavorably, but it's like the specifics may become fuzzy.
So when you see me, what do you think?
Idiot.
I bet you can hold a grudge. What's like the longest grudge you've held right now? Like, you don't have to say like who it is or what is this. How long has it been?
The longest grudge I've held. I still have a grudge against the town I grew up in. I mean, I moved there 29 years ago.
Jesus.
There was flooding.
Fuck that place?
There was severe flooding there the other night, like Friday night. They got like 15 inches of rain in one day. There were like pictures of like decimation, fucking houses falling over, people crying, and I was like, good. I was like, fuck that place. I was like, I wish it had rained 30 inches and it killed them all.
Jesus Christ. 30 years ago, there's probably like maybe what percent of like the people you know or that were involved with that city are still there?
It needs to be like wiped from the face of the earth.
See, this is why nature fights you. This is why squirrels throw shit at you and bark at you.
If the town wasn't there, all the wildlife could have the space.
Reclaim it.
Karma is bullshit, though. I think you're fine.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a good person.
Do you think...
Two cinders talking to each other.
Yeah.
Do you think an alien could chuck a giant bucket of water on Earth?
Go on.
So, like... Imagine
us breaking down.
Well, there's no gravity. I mean, there's no gravity. There's gravity, so all the water would go around the Earth.
This is like a live-action Gavin or Google right here.
But like, how high could you flood the Earth before it doesn't? No, I mean, like
what?
No. Like,
all right, let's Google it.
How high could you flood the Earth before it doesn't?
All right.
Before the water doesn't go on it anymore.
Google.com.
Okay, so
you're saying
you have the Earth.
There's a sphere of water around the world.
Say you flood the Earth with half the volume of the Earth, right? It would go around the Earth. It'd be like a big ocean, cover up all the land.
All right.
How long could you keep doing that until the water was just like, nah, I'm off, and just like floated away?
All right, Noah's
Wouldn't
flood.
it just
there we go.
become more and more dense and just grow?
Would it?
It's all about Noah.
That's actually an interesting question.
Did you ever see
So
that
at
video?
what point does it break Earth's gravity and go into the go into space.
What was that astronaut's name? Chris Hadfield or something?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you ever see that video of him wringing out a wet paper towel?
No.
It was
Sounds
really
riveting.
cool. And basically what you would think would happen is you wring it out and all the globules just float like away aimlessly. Yeah. But he does it and all the water just kind of like floats out of it and sticks to it and sticks to all his hands. And he has all of the water wringed out but still around it. I imagine the Earth would do that to a certain point.
Interesting. That started as a really stupid question, but it actually ended up fairly interesting.
Yeah. Think about that.
The first time for everything.
If you had a pattern where every flight you took, someone died on it, would you keep flying?
Sure.
Really?
Not my fault.
It's not. Yeah, it's not me, is it?
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah.
If I was forced to kill someone every flight, then no, I would not fly.
But what if say
what
you
if
flew,
you got first class for killing someone?
Ooh.
Like every flight, every flight they're like, someone's duct taped to a chair.
Hunger Games,
and they're
go.
like, just stab him, and the flight's free, and you get first class.
Well, see, if it was like that, I don't know. It would depend.
Mask over the head. You don't even see it.
Yeah, is it
my head or
hobo?
their head? It's like, wait, okay, we're gonna put a mask on here. You start going like this. And we're gonna
put
push
someone
you
in front of you. We'll help you murder
don't know
someone. Don't stop until we tell you.
But say you were trying to ruin the pattern. You kept flying to be like, it's a coincidence. Shit, someone died again. So you fly again. It's like, God, someone died again, and it happened 10 times. Would you keep flying?
Yeah.
You really would.
Yeah, why not? It's
Because
coincidence.
people are dying because of you.
I gotta go
Not
with
because
Jack
of
on this.
me. This is coincidence. It just happened. I happen to be on flights that people die.
All right, what if you were about to get on the flight, the 11th flight, but then you didn't, and then nobody died on that flight?
How would I know?
You would
I'm not going to
call.
check the manifest.
You would go to a payphone.
At this
you
point,
would
you
tweet
would
the
want
number.
to. At
died
this
on
point,
the
you
flight.
would be curious.
I guess so. If I had gone 10 flights in a row and someone died every single flight, then I might be curious.
You'd be getting onto planes and be like, you might want to get a body bag on this one.
What if
like
you
you
like
bring
get on
your
the
own.
plane, you board,
Yeah.
and then you get up and leave?
Yeah, I was looking around the terminal like, who's it gonna be out there? But no, so we were boarding Southwest. In Southwest, they don't have assigned seats, right? They have it's just cattle call where
That's
you
where
get
you
on.
line
It's
up
a bus.
in the airport
Yeah.
under the seat numbers.
Yeah,
I hate
yeah.
that.
And so we
So
get
good.
on, and by like the 7th or 8th row, there's a woman sitting in the aisle, and there's 2 empty seats. So Katie and I, we sat down in the 2 seats, and we're sitting there, and the plane's pretty much loaded. And the woman next to us, like, or the woman in the aisle, she like calls the flight attendants or whatever, and they're talking. I'm not really paying attention, and they like bring her a trash bag, and it's like, oh, that's weird. Okay, and then she does the like grabs the trash bag, and starts just
On the ground?
violently vomiting into the trash. Like I mean like
You haven't even taken off
not
yet.
even taken off yet. Like stereotypical vomiting. And this is an older woman. This isn't like a party girl or anything like that. This is like a teacher-looking woman. And it's just like, oh God. And you have that sort of smell of it, you know, and you're in that trapped room.
Ugh.
And it's
The
like,
smell of vomit is enough to make.
yeah. And so I'm sitting there like, oh God. And so she just starts vomiting like crazy. Gets up. You all right, Gavin?
No.
I can slow down if you want me to.
Just be very not detailed about
All right. So then she gets up and goes to the restroom. Like she sits back down. She's like, you know, doing that heavy breathing. Then do it again. It's
She
like,
didn't warn you at all?
No. And so it's just
play
like, so the flight attendant's like, are you okay to fly? Are you okay to fly? And it's like, oh no. And so she's like, yes, I'm okay to fly. She had actually come in from Seattle. So she was flying Seattle to Vegas to Austin. So she was like, she had sat on the plane when it unloaded and reloaded. So she hadn't left the plane. And somewhere in that jump between Seattle and Vegas, she got sick. And so she's like, you know, she feels really bad. I feel terrible for her, but still it's like, oh God. And yeah, the whole flight, like the 2-hour flight, just, you know, she's like has her hand on the trash bag and like went to the bathroom probably 8-9 times. And I will say she powered through it though and made it through the flight. But it was like, what are the odds of me sitting down next to it? And it was like the woman throwing up and then like 4 rows back is a screaming baby. It was like the worst flight ever.
The last time I
But-
flew to Vegas, probably about 45 minutes before landing, I was sitting kind of up. It was a Southwest flight as well. I was sitting kind of close to the front, like row 8 or so.
To Vegas or from Vegas?
This was to Vegas.
Okay.
I was sitting up like row 8 or so, and like I said, about 45 minutes till the end of the flight, I could see that flight attendants were collecting up at the bulkhead. Like I was sitting on the left side of the plane, and up on the right side of the plane at the bulkhead, there's like 3 flight attendants standing there. And I'm like, that's kind of weird. Like
Yeah,
that's not
sketchy.
good. And then like one of them leaves and comes back, and she's wearing gloves, and she has gloves for the other ones.
Oh, no.
So they're all like putting gloves on. I'm like, oh shit, like what's going on up there? And
Is Jack on the plane?
yeah, like one of them leaves and then comes back. She's got like something in her hand I can't see. And I'm like,
Was it a baby or something?
I don't know. Like I'm like, oh shit, like something's going on. They're being like really cool about it. Like they're trying to be like very nonchalant. And then we finally land, and I walk up and I look like right there in that area, and the whole wall is just covered in vomit.
Oh.
Like all around the window, like all dripping down, like everywhere. And there's like a flight attendant there with the gloves on, like scrubbing the wall. I'm like, man, that was nasty. It was just like dark brown and clotted and just like sliding all down the wall.
How do you do that without popping?
I think I've read before that when humans are born, they do not have a taste for salt. Like, you do not like the taste of salt when you're really young, and it's an acquired taste. But by the time you realize it, you're already older.
I heard that babies don't have kneecaps. That really grossed me out.
Well, babies have over 300 bones, but then they merge back to like 206 bones.
And wait, what? About kneecaps?
That's what I heard. They're born without kneecaps, and then
like,
they just
it's not encasing
they form
the
a kneecap as they get older.
And it's the same
That
with the
really
head.
grossed me out.
Like a baby's skull has to squash its way down through a vagina, and I think the knees have to bend in certain ways that they usually wouldn't.
Like backwards.
But then it all,
Like a
it all
flamingo.
goes normal afterwards.
Yeah. That's like a sad part of getting older. It's like your bones fuse together, your joints don't work as good as they used to.
I used to be a whole lot. I used to be more flexible, man.
You know
It's
how,
like, man, I wish I had some baby in my knee.
Like everyone has the same amount of bones
pesky
now. Like, we all
Yeah.
have the same amount of bones. But imagine if it just kept going. Like by the time you're 95, you have like 7 bones. And you can only move like
Your arms are like stuck out.
important ones.
And it gets to the point where it's like, I broke my right. My front got shattered. Like.
Yeah.
It's like you sit like, you'd have to have like special furniture as you age, as your bones fuse.
An
like,
old man couch.
Oh, that's a chair for a 30-year-old. I need a 70-year-old man chair.
Yeah, it's like when they put the age on kid stuff, it like just keeps going.
Yeah.
Like 75 to 84.
Yeah, like
Baby-
you get
baby
really
stuff
old,
like-
eventually you're just one.
Yeah.
Like, well, we've never had to make furniture like this before. The lowest we've gone is a 3.
You just end up like an ironing board.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a bone.
Oh man.
I remember the first time I thought to download porn on the internet was because of a Newsweek article. Like, my family used to get Newsweek back then, and I remember one
What was
week.
Newsweek?
It's like a weekly news magazine.
A magazine.
No, internet doesn't matter.
And like, I remember I was reading it, and there was an article about porn on the internet, and this was like in 94,
Oh, wow.
Oh man.
93 maybe. And I was like,
I was 3.
And there was a screenshot of like NCSA Mosaic, like looking at like porn, and you could see the address bar, and I was like, oh my God, I could download this. So I went to my computer and dialed up to the internet and like typed in the address that was in Newsweek, and I was like, holy shit, that image, I have it now.
They didn't know to block out the address.
No one really, like, it was like a weird time, like the internet was, no, it was probably earlier than that then. It might have been, no, but it was still a web browser.
It reminds
really
me of
funny.
that clip of those news anchors who are reading that web address. Do you remember that one? It's the one that the guy got in trouble for posting, where they're like, what is internet?
Yeah.
I
What is
mean,
www?
it's www and then like an A, but like a circle A, and they're really confused.
Oh, the Today Show.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they're like, they ask someone else, like, what is internet? Do you know what is this?
And then the woman is like, I think what you can do is that like you send information, but then you can get information. And they were like, I'm blown away by it. It's like, wow, I can't even imagine what that world must have been like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.